Today we descend deeper to where true emotions become visible on an entirely different level. Forget bouquets of flowers and grand words. Those are just facades, easily performed, easily faked. What truly matters happens when the masks fall away in that sacred space of intimacy, where no one can hide, and the body speaks the language the soul has been whispering all along. It is there that the unmistakable signs appear, signs that a man is not just infatuated, not just playing at love, but deeply and irrevocably involved. Carl Gustav Jung, the great explorer of the unconscious, once said that the soul is revealed in moments of vulnerability. And nowhere is a man more vulnerable, more unguarded than in the quiet aftermath of passion, in the stillness of being fully present with the one he cherishes. In those fleeting yet eternal moments, his truest self emerges, not the self the world demands of him, not the mask of strength he wears in daylight, but the raw, unfiltered man who risks being seen. When a man is deeply in love, he cannot help but betray it in four profound ways. These are not theatrical gestures, not the tricks of seduction, but the subtle truths of his unconscious longing for closeness. They are, in a sense, confessions written not in words, but in presence, in touch, in the rhythm of breath. The first sign is found in his gaze, the gaze that does not merely look at you, but looks into you. In those moments of deep intimacy, when most people might turn away out of shyness or fear, a man in love holds your eyes. He does not flinch. He does not escape. Instead, he surrenders to the magnetic pull of seeing and being seen. It is not about passion alone. It is about revelation. His eyes search for your essence, as if he wants to memorize the very contours of your soul, as if through that gaze he hopes to tell you, "You are not just in my arms. You are inside my being." And in this, Jung's insight becomes alive. When two personalities meet and there is a reaction, both are transformed. That eye contact is not an accident. It is a catalyst. It is the alchemy of two souls colliding and dissolving into something larger than themselves. Men who remain on the surface avoid this kind of depth because true eye contact in intimacy is like undressing the soul. But the man who loves you cannot look away because he wants you to see him as he is, light, shadow, and all. But love is not just in what he sees, it is in what he gives. And this brings us to the second sign. His joy lies in your joy. A man in love is not driven by conquest or ego when he is with you. He is not there to prove his worth or to dominate. His quiet mission becomes something more tender, more profound, to bring you happiness. In those private moments, his attention shifts away from himself. He studies your breath, listens to your silence, notices the slightest curve of your smile, or the tension in your shoulders. He becomes attuned to you like a musician listening for the notes that make a melody complete. This is not submission. It is empathy in its purest form. Jung wrote that where love rules, there is no will to power. And in the sacred space of intimacy, this truth comes alive. He does not need to win. He longs to merge. Your pleasure, your comfort, your laughter, your sighs, these become his compass. He learns you not as a puzzle to be solved, but as a garden to be cared for. His questions are not mechanical. They are filled with wonder. Do you like this? Does this make you feel safe, cherished, alive? And when you respond, he feels it as though it were happening within his own body. That is love's quiet magic. Your joy becomes his joy. Your peace becomes his peace. In that moment, he is no longer just a man. He is a mirror of the anima within him, Jung's word for the inner feminine. That part of him awakens and whispers, "Make her happy, and you will find your own wholeness too." This is why you can always tell the difference between a man who is only physically interested and a man whose soul is entangled with yours. The first will rush, will roll into indifference once his hunger is satisfied. But the second, he lingers, he tends, he listens. He shapes the entire experience around your joy, as if loving you fully is the only way he knows how to love himself. And perhaps the most revealing truth comes not in the act itself, but in what follows, when body's quiet, when silence returns. That, my dear, is the third sign. What does he do when the passion fades into stillness? Many think intimacy ends at the final breath of desire, but for the man who truly loves, that is only the beginning of another kind of closeness. Jung described dreams as hidden doors leading back to the original night of the soul, before consciousness divided us. And those first moments after love, when the world softens and time seems to pause, are like stepping into that dream. If a man turns away, drifts into distance, or retreats into himself, it was only an act for him, not a connection. But if he draws you near, if he wraps you in the safety of his arms, if he strokes your hair, kisses your forehead, or simply holds you in silence, that is gold. That is the unconscious declaring, I want this to last beyond the body. I want this closeness to be more than flesh. I want you in my soul. Some men will whisper their dreams in that fragile space. Others will say nothing at all. Yet the silence itself will thunder with love. Because in that silence lies trust, and in that trust, the raw essence of devotion. If he shares his fears, his doubts, his secret hopes, he is bearing the side of himself the world never sees. And when he holds you, as though you are not just his lover, but his sanctuary, you will know. This is no fleeting attraction. This is the beginning of something that could last a lifetime. And now we arrive at something almost mystical. Something words can barely touch, but the soul instantly recognizes. The dance of two. When a man is deeply in love, his body doesn't simply move with yours. It synchronizes, as though guided by an invisible rhythm older than both of you. This is not about practice techniques, rehearsed gestures, or passion choreographed like a performance. It is about an unconscious harmony, where every breath, every touch, every subtle movement falls into place without effort. You feel it in the way his heartbeat seems to echo yours, in the way his hand finds yours, precisely at the moment you long for it, in the way your breathing aligns without either of you noticing, until it has already happened. It is as if your bodies begin to speak a language no one taught you, yet you both have always known. Jung might have called it an expression of the collective unconscious, the archetypal longing for union that resides in all of us. Modern science calls it limbic resonance, the synchronization of nervous systems when true emotional connection is present. But to you, in that moment, it feels like magic. It is not imitation, not performance. It is the soul's instinctive way of saying, I am with you. I am in rhythm with you. I am not separate from you. His movements are not clumsy, not forced, but fluid, like water merging with water. He anticipates without guessing, responds without hesitation, and you feel as if the two of you are no longer two, but one current flowing toward the same ocean. This is why those who are merely casual lovers feel so different. With them, gestures remain mechanical, separate, guarded. There are walls between bodies that no touch can break. But with a man who truly loves, the walls collapse. There is no performance, no script, only resonance. You do not need to ask. He simply knows. And you, in turn, begin to know him in the same silent way. It is a dance choreographed not by desire alone, but by something far greater, the unconscious yearning for wholeness through union. This is why intimacy with a man who loves you feels effortless, natural, even cosmic. It is not just bodies moving. It is souls recognizing one another and singing in unison. And that song, though unheard by the ear, is perhaps the truest language of love. But the question that inevitably arises is why? Why do these signs appear? Why does a man who loves so deeply reveal himself through gaze, through joy in your joy, through tenderness after closeness, and through this sacred dance of synchronization? What is the deeper truth that ties all these threads together? Here, Jung's wisdom cuts like lightning through the fog. For Jung, love was never a simple feeling. It was a psychological event of the highest order. It was the meeting of consciousness and the vast, hidden world of the unconscious. Every man carries within him what Jung called the anima, the feminine soul image buried deep inside his psyche. This inner feminine is shaped by his earliest experiences of women, by culture, by his relationship with his mother, and by his unspoken longings. When he meets a woman who resonates with this inner image, he feels an inexplicable pull, as though he has discovered something he had been searching for all his life. But true love is never just projection. It is not simply finding the perfect mirror of his anima. That is only the beginning. For love to mature, a man must face not just the light of his ideal image, but also the shadows he carries. His fears, his insecurities, his selfishness, all the parts of himself he does not want to acknowledge, emerge in the crucible of intimacy. Jung called this the shadow, the hidden aspects of the psyche we prefer to deny. And in love, the shadow inevitably rises. This is why intimacy is so revealing. When masks fall, shadows surface. A man who avoids your gaze is not merely shy. He may be fleeing from the confrontation with his own depth. A man who focuses only on himself in bed reveals the selfish impulses of his shadow. A man who cannot stay close after passion exposes the walls of his ego. And a man who fails to synchronize with you is still trapped in separation, unable to surrender control. But when a man is willing to face his shadow in your presence, to be seen in his fears and flaws, and not run away, then love transforms into something far greater. It becomes what Jung called individuation, the journey toward wholeness, where both partners grow into their fullest selves through the mirror of each other. This is why a man's behavior in intimacy is not trivial. It is a map of his soul. The gaze that lingers is his unconscious saying, "I want you to see all of me, even the parts I hide from myself." His devotion to your joy is his anima awakening, a balance of tenderness and empathy that rises above ego. His closeness afterward is his courage to stay vulnerable when the ego would rather retreat. And his synchronized dance with you is the soul's ancient longing for unity, the archetypal reunion of two halves seeking wholeness. These are not just signs of affection, they are signs of readiness, readiness to love, not with surface charm, but with depth, readiness to grow, to be transformed, to allow the relationship to become a crucible where both souls are refined. And when you see these signs, you are not just witnessing romance, you are witnessing evolution. Because the truth is, love is never static. It is either growing or decaying. And the man who shows these signs is telling you, consciously or not, I am ready to grow with you. I am ready to face myself in you. I am ready to let us both become more than we were before. And that, perhaps, is the rarest gift of all. So now, as we gather these threads together, the picture becomes clear. These 4 signs are not random behaviors. They are the language of the unconscious, the soul speaking in gestures too honest to be faked. They are the subtle, undeniable proof that a man's love runs deeper than passion, deeper than charm, deeper than any performance could reach. The gaze into your soul, the selfless devotion to your joy, the tenderness that lingers after passion, and the mystical synchronization of two bodies moving as one. Each is more than a gesture. Each is a revelation. Together they form a map, not only of his feelings for you, but of his very readiness to love at the highest level. And yet, beyond these signs, lies an even greater truth. For Jung, love was never about two people remaining unchanged while orbiting each other. Love was and is transformation. It is the encounter with the deepest parts of ourselves through the mirror of another. When a man truly loves, he does not merely project his inner feminine onto you and bask in the illusion of completion. He faces the shadow. He wrestles with his own fears. He integrates his selfishness, and he learns to hold both light and darkness in the presence of your trust. This is the true test of devotion, not perfection, but the willingness to grow. And when two souls commit to this kind of journey, something extraordinary happens. Intimacy becomes more than a fleeting moment of pleasure. It becomes a crucible where two individuals are melted down and remade, not into one indistinguishable being, but into two stronger, more authentic selves who walk the path together. This is why the body rarely lies. In intimacy, masks dissolve, ego quiets, and the unconscious speaks the loudest. What you witness in his touch, his gaze, his breath, is not just desire. It is the essence of who he is and how ready he is to let love transform him. So the next time you lie in his arms, remember, you are not just participants in passion. You are witnesses to each other's becoming. You have the power to distinguish between the pure gold of true connection and the counterfeit shine of fleeting attraction. You have the eyes to see, the intuition to know when his soul is speaking to yours. Do not underestimate the power of this knowledge, because once you understand these signs, you can never again be deceived by empty words or shallow gestures. You will know when his unconscious is telling you, "You are more than a moment to me. You are the mirror of my soul, the place where I lay down my masks, the one I trust with my shadows." That knowledge is your strength. It is the shield that protects you from illusions and the compass that guides you toward relationships that matter. And perhaps this is the greatest gift Jung's wisdom leaves us with, the understanding that love is not simply about finding someone who makes us feel complete. It is about walking with someone who awakens both our light and our darkness, someone who challenges us to grow, someone who dares to meet us at the deepest levels of our being. Love, then, is not escape. It is initiation. It is the fire that refines the soul. So, my dear listener, ask yourself, do you see these signs in your life? Do you recognize the gaze that does not flinch, the joy that mirrors your own, the closeness that lingers after passion, the rhythm that unites two bodies into one? Have you felt that rare synchronicity that makes time dissolve, that makes silence louder than words? If you have, cherish it, nurture it. Because such connection is not common, it is sacred. And if you have not, do not despair. For love, as Jung taught us, begins with the self. When you dare to face your own shadow, when you embrace both your light and your darkness, you prepare yourself for the kind of love that does the same. You become the vessel that can hold another soul without breaking. You become the sanctuary where true intimacy can thrive. And in time, life will bring you the one whose soul is ready to meet yours. Remember this, the signs are not tricks to analyze someone else. They are reflections of deeper truths, truths that remind us what real love demands: vulnerability, courage, tenderness, and the willingness to grow. Love is not found in flowers or rehearsed words. It is found in the quiet moments, in the unspoken gestures, in the silent synchronization of two hearts that recognize each other. And so, we return to where we began, beyond facades, beyond performances, to the sacred space where the masks fall. Here, in the stillness of intimacy, the unconscious speaks the loudest. And if you listen, truly listen, you will always know whether the man beside you holds you only in body or whether he holds you in his soul. This is the wisdom I want to leave with you tonight, from the heart of HeartSync X. If this touched you, if you found yourself remembering, realizing, or longing for something deeper, then let your heart speak back. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your stories in the comments below. I read them all, and every word you write adds to this circle of truth we are building together. And if you want more of these journeys into love, psychology, and the soul's hidden truths, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay close. Because the work we do here is more than content. It is a calling. We dive together into the shadows and bring back light. And that, my dear, is what HeartSync X will always be about. Until next time, trust your intuition, honor what your soul already knows, and never settle for less than the kind of love that transforms you, because you are worthy of nothing less.